In this video, I'm going to talk about why you're not converting students. So they have joined your Telegram channel. Maybe they joined your email broadcasting list, like I have, right? I have email subscribers. Maybe they clicked on your website, they clicked on your form to apply for your class, and maybe they filled in the form, but they didn't respond. Maybe they came for a trial lesson, but they didn't continue, right? Because maybe they didn't feel like it was good enough. So what is the break in our system? You gotta find that, and the only way you can really find the break in the system is you have to collect the statistics, the data. So I last time didn't used to collect all these, right? But now I do because I realize it's the only way for me to identify where's the problem and how to fix it. So I encourage you to identify all this data. And in fact, I'm right now doing some consulting on the side. It's like really low time commitment kind of consulting because my main focus is on the business, okay, on actually doing the tuition business, not coaching for tuition business owners. So if you are going to ask, if you are going to come for a consult with me, a paid consultation, then try to have as much data as you can and compile first, so that when I ask you things about all these data, then we can actually find a useful solution. Okay, and in fact, like from this, I've derived a lot of things where I need to fix. So, for example, I have a lot of students who click on my form, apply here. That means they are the sign up form link, and they don't actually sign up because I see that the number of people who actually fill in the form is so much lower. So it could be because these people are just curious. They're not actually taking bio. They're not the right syllabus. They're not the right level. They're from other countries. Yes, that should account for a huge drop off. But I think there's also people who are simply just too lazy to fill out the form because I think my form is too long. So that's actually a task that I put for myself today to reduce my form's length because I want to increase this step of the process, right? This part is very hard for people to cross over to continue in the process. So I need to make it easier. But at the same time, the form has a purpose of filtering out those who are not good. So if they're not good qualified prospects, then I'm wasting my time by texting them. So that's why the form also needs to serve a purpose of being strict enough, and yet I need to find a balance between making it shorter and strict enough. Okay, then another thing that I realize is, see, I have this drop off of like how many people? 7, 25 to 18, like who just don't even respond. So why are these people not responding, and what am I doing to follow up with them? So yesterday I built out a short follow up sequence where I get my assistant to send like at a cadence of like every week you'll send a useful message to give them value, and then also to remind them like, hey, by the way, you should join, right? Because you sign up in the form, you seem to need help with bio, and then we remind them to join. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm fixing the holes in the system that bring people from non-customer to become a paying customer. And now I want to talk about this last part where people converting to a trial lesson. So, how many people come for a trial lesson and how many people actually convert. So I've had data on this for many months already, and I can see, what's my conversion rate. You see, I can see the free trial lesson, and then I can see how many actually convert after that. Yeah, and I can see the statistics. So I feel like for trial lessons, the baseline should be 50% conversion. 50% and above shows that you have a pretty good service. Your lessons are pretty good. And below 50% should be a bit worrying. So for us, we're very, very blessed to have a very high conversion rate because we know we have a winning product. We know that our service, our teaching is good, and the students, like, we've met their expectations. So what are the expectations of a student? Okay, so this is where I'm going to talk about how can we get the trial conversion rate to be increased, as well as crash courses, because a crash course conversion rate will be much lower because the people are usually less serious, less qualified. However, in future months, crash course students have shown to join later, which is what happened to me. A lot of students do that. They came for months ago and then now they join. So you should still be tracking the conversion rate for the crash courses, so that you can see, is it improving over the months. And now, as for there are two components to why crash course conversions could be low, as well as trial lesson conversions. Okay, so the first reason is the core service, the teaching isn't good enough. So how do you know if it's good enough? You need to ask yourself what are the main expectations they have of, example, you're doing chemistry tuition, what are their main expectations they have? Or maybe it's bio tuition, right? What's the main expectation? So one of them is that they want to no longer feel lost in the subject and they want to feel confident. I think this is true for pretty much all different subjects. For bio, there might be specific things like they want to have memory hacks, memory help, memory methods, something to help them with memorizing because they feel so overwhelmed. They have to memorize so much. Maybe another expectation that they have for my subject is answering skills because they don't get that in school and they want to find that in tuition. So if I'm not delivering on the answering skills, right, if I'm not teaching them the thought process on how to answer questions and the phrasing and the keywords, then they will leave. They will not join because they don't see the value in joining, right? There's another one which they don't specifically say often, but actually they want it, which is they want engaging. They don't want it to be boring like school because if it's not interesting, they will sleep. And it's kind of like when I order a Grab, I'm caring about going to the destination, right? But I also have an implicit expectation. I want it not to be smelly. I don't want the car to be smelly. I want there to be aircon, sufficient aircon. And also, these implicit expectations may not be said, may not be so obvious. But if you ask your students, eventually you can find all these out. So go survey your students, ask your students, send a poll in your Telegram channel, whatever it is, and then ask your current students, right, what is it they want so you can improve your service. Find out what the expectations are, deliver, then you should be getting at least 50% conversion rates already. If you're getting less than that for trial lessons, less than 50%, then I think there's something wrong with you're not delivering on the expectations. Okay, and there are many various expectations, unfortunately, and that's where you learn to build out a list of all these expectations. And then you turn these expectations into procedures and checklists for your tuition classes. So, for example, I know one expectation is they don't want to feel judged, right? They want to feel approachable to the tutor. So, I make sure that when I teach or any of my tutors teach, we give them that aura, we don't make them feel judged, and we are friendly, we are approachable, and we welcome questions. In fact, you want to ask questions over the week? Sure. You want to ask after class? Sure. In between, during the break? Sure. You can ask as much as you want. So that fills that expectation. Another expectation they might have is they want to be called on, at least for my physical classes, right? I notice that students, they like to be engaged and called on one by one so that they are checked, they are engaged to the tutor, they are forced to answer. They actually like it. They actually like being engaged. And I've got this feedback often. So I have a checklist of I need to call on every student at least one time. And in fact, what I do is I snake around the class, right? I just go down the rows and then I call each person to answer a small question that's very easy to answer and rather quick to answer as the class progresses. So that way, I'm like going through everyone, and then once I go through everyone, I start again. I go through everyone. So that way, everyone gets to answer a question a few times at least in every class, and that fulfills that expectation. So yeah, it's just about that. It's about finding out what the expectations are and then fulfilling them. So that will improve your core service, your teaching, and if you copy my teaching, you can, but it won't necessarily fulfill all the expectations that your students have of your subject and your level. So if you copy my teaching, you might fulfill 70% of their expectations of your students, right? You may be fulfilling 100% of my student expectations, but you're not teaching my subject, my level, or my students. So you would improve if you copy my teaching style, but you may not be fulfilling 100% of your students' expectations. So learn from them, go poll them, go survey them, ask them, through the feedback forms after each lesson, what you did good, what you didn't do good, to actually know what their expectations are so you can meet their expectations. If you do that, the core service, the tuition classes are good, meets their expectations, and hopefully exceeds their expectations, then they will likely have at least 50% trial lesson conversion rate. So for crash courses conversion rate, it will be lower than this, of course, but it will still be better than if you don't meet their expectations, which if you have this problem of low conversion rates, then you're probably not meeting their expectations. Your lessons are basically not good enough. That's why. And I don't know whether I said this in the first part of the video, because I'm refilming like hours later, so I forgot. But I used to suck a lot at teaching as well. Okay, so this is my like 4th year now teaching. Um, so I improve significantly after every year, and you will be surprised at the rate you can improve. It's really really fast. Yeah, it's not that hard. So for videos on how to improve your teaching, you can watch on my channel other videos. Okay, so that's about the teaching, right? If you have a actually good lesson, then people will stay, people will join, higher conversion rates. Now, second piece that will increase your conversions from trial lesson to paying student, as well as from crash courses to paying student. This second piece is the core offer. So the core offer, right? If a student goes to my website and they scroll down, they can see the student benefits. Okay, so students also get all these other things, and these are all the bonuses around the tuition lessons. So the offer is not just tuition lessons, but you get all these other bonuses as well. So here, this one, right? I send whenever a student signs up for a class, I'll send them some pictures to show them like, oh, here's a refresher of the benefits you will get, and then I send this picture, and they will see all these things. By the way, this is also in my video sales letter on my website before a student even clicks apply here. If they watch this video, there's a part of it back here where I describe all the elements of the core offer. And maybe next time I'll make a video on how to make a VSL like this. If you're just starting out, then probably not worth the time and investment to make such a VSL. And okay, so let's go back here. Yeah, so this one, right? Basically, the core offer, you want to make it so good that they'll feel like your price is a steal. So this is all realistic, calculatable numbers. You don't just anyhow, and they must actually feel like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, so for example, the past lesson recordings, why is it worth so much? Because there are many lessons, and each lesson is $90, right? 90 per week. So 90 times 20 lessons. If there are 20 lessons inside my stash of past lesson recordings, then it's worth this much. And so that's how I can calculate these kind of numbers. Okay, then practice papers, why worth $300? Because I probably spent this much or even more on buying those practice papers from various sources, compiling them in my Google Drive, and that is how I know they are worth this much to a student. Okay, but then I give to my students for free. So I calculate this total value at what? And you want this to be around 10 times of your monthly fee that you're charging. So for me, it's for the quarterly students, it's 360 per month if you average it out. And that's why this is 10 times that amount. So you don't have to be like me where I have this like variable per week component. You don't have to do this, okay? But the idea is that this is like 10 times how much you're charging. So when you strike off the price and you say, oh, it's only this much, then they're like, wow, that's such a steal. So where is it? I think I do have it in my VSL. Can you move away? There it is. See, I striked out this, and it's like only 90 per week. So when a student sees this, it's like, what? That's so good. That's such a steal. Yeah, and if a student sees, parent also sees, I want them to feel this way. So we send them this, and this is my offer. Okay, my offer is compelling. It may not be the best offer right now that it could possibly be, but it's way better than just having this as your offer. Oh, I'm a tuition center. Sign up for my lessons. That's it. Your offer is basically weekly lessons. That's your offer. But then if you compare to someone who has all these other things, then the offer becomes so much more attractive and compelling. Now, the trick is that all these things cannot just be low quality. They actually have to be very useful to the student. And how do you come up with all these things? You just ask yourself, what are the other things that a student would need to succeed in this subject? And then you go and make those. Like, for example, for bio, students always have problems memorizing. So I made flashcards because I know this is a proven method that is backed by science. I done it myself in school, so I know it works. And so I made flashcards for the students so they can just use it, and then they can memorize, right? So this one is, it's a component of how they can get to succeeding at the subject. So that's how you come up with all these components. You can copy my components, but may not be very applicable to you if depends on the nature of your subject. Yeah. Okay. So that was the offer, and I am not going to explain this that well because I only have this short video, right, to explain how to make a good offer. So there's a whole book on it. It's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. So just go search it up. Read the Audible. It's very cheap on Audible. And actually, I didn't read this book. I went to the online course that he has on his website for free. Then it talks about the same content as the book. I just use the book because whenever I want to refer to something, like, maybe guarantees or something. Okay, we don't have guarantees in my tuition. And guarantees, I feel like this is another video, but I feel like I did use them at one point, but guarantees I think do not work, at least for my tuition, because it kind of feels like, is this even possible? Because the industry, even the consumers know that there's no guarantee. You cannot guarantee that the child will succeed and confirm score this grade, right? Yeah, and I don't know, it feels a little bit scammy. Maybe that's the perception that the consumers have, which is why I don't use guarantees. Yeah, but for example, like I would refer to the parts of this, and yeah, that's why I have the physical copy, but I don't actually use this. So he explains it much better than I can, and go binge that book and create a good offer. So the offer now, because my offer is more compelling than just plain tuition classes, then before a student even signs up, they are more compelled to click the apply button. And if they already click apply, and now, right, they are going for a trial lesson. So after the trial lesson, to join, what they're actually doing in the trial lesson is seeing, okay, I love all these things. I want that. It's very good. I just want to know whether the lessons are actually good or not. So that's why they went for a trial lesson, and then they're like, yeah, it's actually good. So then immediately they want to sign up because they already know this is what they're getting, and the offer is it attracts them. It's a magnet. It pulls them. So the conversion rate will increase. Then if it's a crash course, right, here's what I do at the end of the crash courses, right? I recently implemented this system for my tutors whenever they hold crash course also. At the end, the last part, right, they will show this. Okay, they will say, hey guys, thank you for the crash course. Thank you for attending. And by the way, let me share just a few things about what it's like here as a student. Okay, then they'll show this. They'll briefly explain the benefits to each item so that the student can see, wow, yeah, that would really help me. Yes, that would really help me. I need that. And then they would say that, yeah, this is totally, all the value is valued at this much, but then they'll strike off and then they'll put 90 per week, it's only 90 per week. And then people will be like, oh, wow, that's really worth it. Yeah. So we've done that, and we don't have enough data to back this up, but we did the same tutor. I believe it was the same lesson even. And the previous lesson, right, she didn't do this. Then the next lesson, she followed this. And she got one student who signed up. Compared to the previous one, no students sign up immediately. So for crash courses, it's kind of like planting seeds, and future months, I noticed the students will join. So maybe the first lesson, I don't think it's a waste. I think the first lesson planted a lot of seeds. Second lesson also planted seeds, but I wanted people to take action. Like from the first one, no student immediately signed up. So I was like, how do I get people to take action now? So I think they just felt like, wow, this is a great lesson, but they didn't see why it's such a steal yet, why being a student here is such a steal. So the second one, we actually did this. We showed them our offer, and our offer is relatively strong. We showed them our offer, and we showed them how it's such a steal. It increased the conversion rate for the crash course. I know it's only one comparison lesson, so I don't have enough data to show that it really works. But I have a very huge hunch it works, because that is what a lot of other books also say, and of how to convert people. Then I was like, oh yeah, I realized that my crash courses, I'm just giving value, but I'm not persuading at the end. But usually, if you read all other webinars, advice, sales presentations, video sales letter, even my own video sales letter, right? At the end, it's all about persuasion. At the start, yes, I'm giving value, but at the end, it's all about persuasion. So I should have done that for my crash course also. So that's why I implemented that. Yeah. So in summary, this video was about how to increase your conversion rates. Okay. And first way to increase the conversion rate from trial or crash courses is actually have great lessons, meet the expectation. Number two is you need to have a compelling offer that makes them feel like such a steal. They're like, this is amazing. And it also makes you unique. So they cannot just compare you to another tuition center. Like, I know no other tuition center in the whole country has all these things. I know that we are unique. Yeah. And that makes us have a unique selling proposition that we can, in clear conscience, promote ourselves, because we know that no other tuition center can do this. Yeah. So that's about it. Yeah.